Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. Like Jackson Aurelia. Jackson Aurelia. Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. Proc it Jackson Aurelia. TForce.
Welcome to the rework of the TForce. Now we going hard cause we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and cash from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like brand, practicing his dot game. Give it to you easy like you're Resi in a bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time. Now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier. Knock it up like now fight planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall. Get on the chat call. Can a podcast really be all that? Of course. How do 4 guys make a TForce?
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am your host. As always, you're joining us for episode number 228. I am joined by 4 great people this week. Daze is with us.
Hey.
Hi, Daze. Punch.
Hey, everybody.
Chira.
I'm right here.
DeClaude.
Howdy.
Hello, DeClaude. No puns this week, DeClaude. They have been banned for this entire podcast.
You got it.
No, I'm kidding. He's gonna find a way to sneak
There's
like
no
7 or 8
way
of them in there.
he could.
He's already
uphold
thinking
that,
of
man.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, you might miss it though.
Was that a pun? Hold on.
Yeah, wait. We gotta think about it.
You don't have to overanalyze everything I say. All right.
Okay, so if you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to let you know right now, you're going to have to skip ahead like 5 or 6 minutes because I have a fuckload of announcements to go through before we get to the actual meat of the show. But I swear to God, I'll make up for it with however long I go in the beginning of this podcast at the end of the podcast with more discussion. So, first and foremost, we're going to go... we're going to cough and die in the mic. First and foremost, we're going to talk donations. So if you guys would like to help donate to the podcast and help us keep server costs going, make sure we get new microphone, make sure the microphones are up to date, make sure everybody's happy. Journey to 30 is coming out. We need to pay for that. You can donate to the podcast. You can always find that at our subreddit /r/TForce Network or TrinityForcePodcast.com. There's a big donate button there. First, we had a donation of $5 from Josh. He says, nom 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 nom. G.I. Cho is his name in game. So
Good guy,
Nice.
G.I. Cho.
Thanks, Josh.
Oh, we
We
played with him
appreciate
in a
it, buddy.
custom, I think, last week.
yeah, and he played Cho.
Yeah, he plays Cho all the time. He's
He's a
always
real
in
American
games.
hero.
Is he
Yeah.
going from bronze to masters with Joe?
He could probably do it. His Cho's pretty good.
Yeah, his show is pretty good. We had Sir Tesla. He gave us $10 and just said, thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Tesla.
Thanks,
Oh,
That was
Tesla.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tesla. And Matthew, he gave us $20, and he says, I love your guys' show. Sad you didn't pick me to host your new show, but what else loves? I still love you guys, and you've got a video of me running drunk through a door, so good times. I forgot to share that with you guys. He sent us a video of him drunk
I
running
feel like
through a
that's
door.
the first thing you should have sent me.
Right.
this morning.
How did this not come up?
Yeah, really.
Well, because you guys weren't in the process of
You
picking
like
the
this
Journey to
right
30
now.
stuff. I can't. I don't have the journey. I'll pull it out. I will give you all of them. It was pretty funny, actually.
I can
What are
picture-
your-
I can picture Matt right now with no arms and no legs sitting in front of the door.
What?
What?
Matt, come on.
Oh, man. Okay.
oh God.
I'll give you that one. So, news, first and foremost, we are playing... By the time you listen to this podcast, more than likely you won't have heard it, but we are playing the Lola podcast on the 24th of January, which is this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Please tune into twitch.tv/TForce podcast to check that out. We are very excited to play them. But a bigger news announcement than that, because we don't really care about those guys all that much, is that the TForce Network has officially picked up a Alliance World of Warcraft guild from Lightbringer. They are entitled the Filthy Casuals. They are 5 of 7 normal, 2 of 7 heroic right now, and they are going to start streaming on the Trinity Force podcast channel on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. So the Trinity Force Network is now branching out from League of Legends. Finally. Ooh, I know,
Wow.
right?
That'd be a cool change of pace.
Gaming network as opposed to just the League community, huh?
Correct. So we are now, the Trinity Force Network is now a gaming network, and we are actually looking out to expand into Smite. I know I talked to Shira and his friends about that. We're looking to branch out into Smite and eventually CSGO and others. But for starters, we have branched out into World of Warcraft. So the Filthy Casuals, they're going to be streaming on Tuesdays and Thursday night. They are actually looking for people that are interested in raiding while they have gotten, they're only been together 2 weeks, and they've downed 5 bosses in normal and 2 in heroic, which really isn't that bad for 4 nights of raiding, in my opinion.
It's bad. They're Alliance scum. I refuse to
Yeah,
watch.
I knew it. I knew that was coming. But yeah, the Filthy Casuals, they're totally in this. They want to help out the network. They want to stream, and eventually they're more than likely going to move into making videos and blogs and stuff as we push out a new website. But go check those guys out on Twitch TV/TForce Podcast. You can always find them at trinityforcepodcast.com/FK. That's all it is, FK. It just redirects to their website. So if you play World of Warcraft and you like to raid and you've been if you're not Alliance, you can, swap. Check out the Filthy Casuals, check them out, see what they're looking for. Those guys, they're raiding 2-3 days a week and they really want your help. So we are very excited to bring the Filthy Casuals into the Trinity Force family.
Yeah, if you're Horde and you watch and you're hating these guys, then you can transfer and kill them in the open world.
While they're streaming.
Could do that.
Yeah.
If anybody ends up doing that, let me know so I can give you my real ID and get in on murdering them as well across server because I love that shit.
I know. That's what I was going to. Sean's going to hear this and go, oh my God, I've been Horde forever. Why are you picking up Alliance?
Fucking gnomes.
I know, right? Well, it sucks too because everybody transferred to Alliance from Horde side, but that's beyond the point.
No,
Whatever.
Point, right.
We'll save it for a different show.
So I said 10 minutes. I went 5 because that's how quickly I blew through all of our announcements. Because that's how awesome I am.
Good job.
I'll do
You're getting better with this.
I'm getting better, damn it. But we have a few listener questions that have come in, and we decided we're going to answer those. We're going to try to keep up on them as the podcast goes on, rather than letting them backlog 20 or 30 at a time and then trying to get to them and not be able to get to them. So we're going to try to do more listener questions. And the first one is actually pretty contested here in the Trinity Force family because we were talking about this before the podcast. And surprisingly, DeClaude was the one that said, shut up, we need to talk about this on the podcast. Usually I'm the guy that's doing that.
We're wasting gold here.
Excuse me. So Tim, he writes in, but after he writes in, he told us a little more. So I'm going to give a little bit more backstory after I read what he wrote in. He goes, I'm curious as to your collective thoughts on this. How much does biology play a part in your ability to rank up? Or perhaps to put it another way, how do you compensate for being old? It's not as quick as the young people. Can you compensate for poor conditions or mouse control? Or are there some people that are doomed to bronze simply because their bodies are poorly adapted for League of Legends? And if so, what percentage would you guess that to be? So we started talking about this before the podcast, and Tim had wrote in after the fact and said, you guys had talked a while back about getting better at this game and why you pretty much suck. We all said, if you're bronze, it's because you don't accept that you're bad at the game. And he said some players may take to that negatively, and you shouldn't have said it that way. And we had this big, long discussion about it. So I'm actually going to leave that on the board right here as a wide open topic about getting better at this game and adjusting your play style, not necessarily your age. Actually, I'm going to let DeClaude. DeClaude, why don't you talk to us with your MS and everything? Do you feel like that has affected your gameplay at all? And how have you adjusted to it?
Yeah, big time. It has definitely affected my gameplay because I can only go for a game or two before my hands start to slow down. It feels like I'm wearing iron gauntlets playing. So it does definitely affect certain things. For example, I'm really bad at the marksman role, because of the need to orb walk and click like mad. Callista, forget it. But surprisingly, I can still compensate for it if I know how to use the abilities, especially on abilities that you can use. You can kind of queue up before you get within range. You can kind of, to answer your question, Tim, you can kind of outplay your biological problem. So there is a way to do it. It's just if you're that dedicated to the game, it's pretty much where there's a will, there's a way. So you have a will to do it, you're going to find a way. And that's pretty much what I do with League of Legends. But until I just can't play another game because my right ring finger presses on the right mouse button or I fat finger flash all the time, stuff like that. So there are limits. But so if you have a problem, like if you have more advanced stage of MS, for example, like I have to where it's like that all the time, then yeah, you're probably not going to have very much fun playing, because you're going to have IRL lag. So you need to, I need to find the little windows where I do have that, where I'm rested enough where I can do it, and then I can play just fine. So, and as far as getting older,
I just interrupt him and tell him to shut the fuck up. Punch, go.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to build on what you were saying, Claude. Particularly on the topic of reaction time and how you can overcome that. I think you can overcome reaction time or slower reaction time mainly through experience, and by that I mean you need to plan out or foresee what's going to happen before it happens. Because if you're anticipating something, it's much easier to react to it than something that's just coming right out of the blue and then you need to hit flash all of a sudden. Like if you're not anticipating somebody using a skill shot on you to catch you, then it's much harder to react in time to dodge that skill shot. Whereas if you see Blitzcrank approaching you and you know, oh, he's going to hook me at this point, then you can react. When you see it actually happen, then you can react, and dodge the skill shot.
Or to build off that, that's part of getting higher. He wrote in, and I apologize to you guys. I didn't get the chance to forward this email today, or rather, I didn't forward it. I just put it in the document. But he did say that he played in He played at boot camp, just regular battle arena, and he was playing against golds and silvers, and he felt like he was being completely and totally outclassed. So he couldn't imagine what platinum and diamond is like, just because he's bronze. And to build off a Punch's point, that is part of getting better at this game, is just predicting what is going to happen in a team fight, predicting what is going to happen in your lane. That minion is going to die, and Blitz is going to hook through 2 minions and hook you, for example. That comes from experience and playing the game more often.
Yeah, and you can give yourself a margin of error. Like Punch said, if you anticipate they're going to do something, instead of holding it and waiting for that perfect time to dodge it when he throws it, or waiting for him to throw it and blow it, it's better safe than sorry. Just flash out of range and run. Use what you can while you can before you get snagged. That's not the ideal scenario, but if your reaction time is not that good, or you're playing on poor internet and you have lag, you're like, oh shit, he's gonna grab me if I'm not out of here. So just flash and use something early, even if you didn't do the pull yet, and get out of there. So
this becomes harder and harder to do in team fights, where everything becomes chaotic and you've got so many things to keep track of, and it's sometimes really difficult to predict how a team fight's going to go, when people are going to use what abilities. So that's why it's so important to just play so much and gain so much experience, because then you get that feeling of, okay, this is how the game's going to go.
Right.
I have something to say about it. And everything that's said so far is very, very important. Like, the knowledge and the experience and the prediction is all really important in terms of not only ranking up, but just getting to your highest level of play. But in terms of, aside from actual disabilities, like DeClaude was talking about, where it actually affects your ability to play, and I know you mentioned being young or old or things like that. I just turned 30 2 months ago. Adam just turned 29 a couple months ago. We're fairly old in terms
babies,
of
but we are old and gamers.
So we're technically old for the league community, and we're all 3 of us are plat. So just because they've done a lot of studies, and someone mentioned earlier that just because you're older than the other people, if there's a difference in your reactions times, it's milliseconds. So while it could technically affect you, it's not going to affect you very often. And as for the poor coordination and mouse control, there are things if you feel that your mechanics are affecting you, and mechanics are important. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you think one thing and you can't actually do it, then it can affect your gameplay. But there are things that you can do to practice it and work on that control. I came from console games before this. I played StarCraft on the computer, but pretty much everything else I played on Xbox and PS3. So I had terrible, terrible mouse control. I would click all over the map.
For sure.
You
screen
started
was
as
everywhere.
a Twitcher.
It was so bad. It was just terrible. You wouldn't want to watch me play. It was probably nauseating. And I started playing a lot of Osu. I played this game called Cursor Invisible. I played where you have to click on discs, but your mouse is actually invisible. Your cursor is invisible, so you have to know where your cursor is at all times, which is very important when you're playing the game. And then there's a couple other ones too, and I'll give them to Adam, and Adam can link them in on the website. But there's a lot of games out there that are actually pretty fun. I know the Cursor Invisible one's a flash game you can play in between games, and it's really addicting. I've got so many people involved in it, and I'll be talking to them, and I'll just hear
I feel like I want to play
click,
it
click,
now.
click, 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 click,
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
mean-
like, "You're playing it, aren't you?" And they're like, "No." So it's addicting. It's really bad. I've caught myself playing it at work before, which don't do. You might get in trouble. But other than that, there are a ton of resources out there for you to actually make improvements if you feel that that's an area that you need improvement. For me, it definitely was. But as everyone mentioned, the knowledge is invaluable also.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody, I'm not sure if you particularly are, but for anyone who's thinking about going into the pro scene or really high level ranked 5s, or just wanting to get into really, really high levels of solo queue play, there is a biology component that's involved, and it's not necessarily your age or anything like that, but there's a lot of connections proven between eating healthy, exercising regularly, sleeping well, that
Absolutely.
connect to your mental state, your ability to play, even games like this that aren't necessarily physically taxing, but are mentally taxing. There are huge connections, and almost every pro that you talk to will also mention that. So that's a way that you can kind of control that as well. So those are definitely things that you should look at.
We're getting into the life podcast now. You want
that's
to
a good
have
point,
better
though,
sleep, go work out. That's like
actually, a lot of the teams do that. Their coaches say, "Hey, you are going to eat right. You are going to exercise." Because you got to be aware and alert in League of Legends. Map awareness, just a game awareness. You need it to play
to quickly bring this back. All of that map awareness or eating and exercising and playing and doing all those things, that's only if you're looking to get really good at this game. Like, you have decided that you want. Correct. You've decided that you want to take yourself from bronze to platinum, not bronze to silver, not silver to gold. You've decided you want to go to the highest level, the highest echelon. Thank you. I knew I was missing it right. That's echelon of play that you could possibly get to. That's when you start doing that. But if you playing a battle arena and you're bronze and you think that the gold people are completely and totally outplaying you, you just need to take it one baby step at a time. First, go play Daze's invisible cursor and stuff. Make sure that your mouse points are. Because the biggest thing I know, like playing AD carry, and I know Punch can tell me this, is you need to be on point with your clicks. And
you can't look at your cursor while you're playing. If you're looking at your cursor, you're not seeing anything else that's going on.
You can also look at it like this. If you know you have a weakness in a specific area, like let's use DeClaude's MS for example. Once that starts acting up, stop playing champions that are completely reliant on skill shots.
Yeah, right.
You can mitigate, you can mitigate, I don't want to call it a disability, but like a disadvantage, disability, whatever you want to call anything. You can mitigate it if you are at least aware of what your issue is in the first place. There are going to be like certain little things you're going to be able to do that are going to give you, it's not going to be as big of a disadvantage if you just, choose the champions you're playing like in an intelligent way, choosing your play style in an intelligent way.
Right. It's how you play it exactly. You can play around it. Like I said, where there's a will, there's a way. But with League of Legends, you have a margin of error because you have vision. You're not Rek'Sai burrowed all the time and blind to everything. You have vision of things around you, so you have time to react as long as you're not lagging, for example. Right. So let's say you have decent internet, you're playing normally, but you are a little slow to click. You can account for that. So as you're sitting there laning, let's say you got to throw a skill shot. It's going to be a little bit slow. Don't try to do the ones where you weave it between minions if it stops on first thing hit. Wait for them to get into a position where you can use it like that. So you're not going to do amazing plays, but I think you can still succeed and get to plat. I got to plat, and a lot of times I have a mental disability as well, where if I lose, I can't stop. I got to play till I win.
We know you have mental disability because your champ pool sucks.
One of them.
We get it.
Speaking and just to put things into perspective for anyone who's using this as their reasoning behind why they can't get better, things like that, and just a way to overcome that. I'm sure that a lot of people, especially on this cast, have seen, I don't know his name, and I really wish I knew it, just to give him a shout out, but the guy who can't play with his arms and plays with his feet and his mouth like a pen.
Hell, there's a I don't know the League of Legends guy, but there's Brawly Legs from Street Fighter. He lays on his stomach and he plays with his cheeks.
There was a guy.
On his stomach too, and he was like, he got to like gold or something, gold or plat. Like he got.
I think he made it all the way to plat.
Yeah, it's an incredible story. Like, and if you watch him play, he streamed, so he had the camera so you could see what he was doing, and then you could obviously see what was going on. And if you just watched his play, you would have no idea that he could not use his arms. Like, there are ways if you're determined enough to get around anything.
Well, and there was a guy who used to stream WoW who was a quadriplegic and played with the whatever the technology is where they can blink and do stuff. He would raid and stream it.
Really?
So if you can do that shit, like, you can do anything.
It's cool. It's a neuro headband, and it measures facial. You look like...
That's amazing.
I'd love to see someone playing, because like,
you
clench your jaw and your moving your eyebrows, and and those are tied to commands.
Okay, so
you practice with Pong.
I want to make sure all of this is clear for anybody who's listening. This is really going back to the same episode. What we're telling you, everything you can do, these are all steps again, but none of these are excuses. You should not use any of these as excuses as why you are bad. Okay, I don't have a Razer mouse, so I don't have the same DPI you do. That's why I'm bad. That's not true. It's bullshit. Well, and I'm sorry. You know what, Tim? Tim actually he yelled at us. He's like, the way you guys presented this information, you were mean. You're not nice about it. You're not sugarcoating. Some people don't really respond to that very well, and I understand. But we're all about the truth.
It's fine if people don't respond to something well, but that doesn't make it any less right than it is.
Well, it is how you say it too. By saying someone is bad is generalizing and encompassing that they're bad at everything. You could just say you're doing it wrong, or you're
playing this poorly. You're building.
You can play it better.
We don't. I mean, for the most part, we can't just go and tell people that we don't know exactly what their problem is either. So we have to generalize in that situation.
And go ahead. Sorry.
People can be bad at a myriad of things. I'm terrible at a lot of stuff in this game, and I'm high gold, low plat, elo right now.
You can get better.
Easily. It's about recognizing your weaknesses and shifting them into something that becomes a strength, or just utilizing your weaknesses or mitigating your weaknesses in ways where they're not gonna completely draw and just dive your rating right into the ground. I have to stop responding to people and stop talking shit as much. Doesn't mean I have to completely stop talking shit to people.
That's why all chat's off for me.
I know.
I had to turn it off.
I used to not be able to individually bounce my titties, but now I can after a bunch of push-ups and
what the fuck?
That came out of nowhere.
My titties. So it's something I was bad at.
For anyone listening to MP3, DeClaw just took his shirt off and showed us. So you just missed everything. But yeah, so here's the thing. We would be a terrible, terrible podcast if we just came on here and been like, no, it's not you, it's everybody else, everything, anything like that. It's a lot. Before the podcast started, we were talking about in Little League, where now everybody has to get a trophy, whether you win or lose, just for participating. And it's just ranking. If that's what you're looking for, that positive affirmation, then ranking really isn't the place for you anyway, because you're going to get ranked, you're going to get compared to other people, and it should be a driver for you. If it's depressing for you, then maybe ranking isn't the right thing to do. But the first thing, and anyone will tell you this, not just us, people much, much, much better at this game than we are, will tell you that the first step to getting better is to admit that you're bad at this game. If we can watch pros stream and they miss one CS and they're like, oh my god, I'm so bad at this game, and you are and if I ever go into a game and think, man, I know everything about this game and I'm perfect and I'm just amazing and I'm only here because of my teammates, then there's something wrong with my mindset. And that was all that episode was talking about, was how you can get better and overcome those mental hurdles. Because every week we talk about different ways to get over, to deal with champions, or to learn better, or to compensate for nerfs, or to use buffs. But, it was really important for us to talk about overcoming those mental things the blockades that you make for yourself.
Well, if you think that sorry, Sharon. If you think that we're mean, you're not going to have a fun time in solo queue. Furthermore, you're not going to have a fun time on the internet. You should just get off the internet, because the internet is not very friendly. I don't know if you've noticed that. But if you've ever been to if you watched a YouTube video and went to the comments section, you'd probably be insulted by some of the things that are said there.
You know what? It's like I said, it's the saying, people take offense when you say you're bad. And I think I just don't use that terminology myself. I would kind of sugarcoat it automatically. I would just say you can improve, or you are not doing this right. Not necessarily that you're just bad at the game.
Now, that is better criticism, right? To identify something specific that they're not good at.
Right, but I'm just saying, just please everyone listening to our advice here, when everyone says bad, it's not a bad thing. It just means you're doing something badly right now, but we're telling you how you can do it good. So go ahead and change it.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap get this conversation up a little bit, but with this, actually last night I tweeted about this today. As you all know, the girlfriend has an 8-year-old boy. He is, you don't know this, but he's a sore loser. This probably goes, Jen knows how this works, but the 8-year-old boy's a giant sore loser. He refuses to accept anything he does is wrong. So he's playing Pokemon, and at 8 years old, you really don't understand Pokemon. So I take the kid last night, and I had to whoop his ass in Pokemon, and I made him shake my hand when the game was done, and then I explained to him what the hell happened. And at that point, if you can accept that same criticism like this 8-year-old boy did, he looked me in the eye and he accepted it. Okay, I get it. You beat me. I need to accept this. I need to learn. That's the same thing we're talking about. You need someone to beat you down so hard that you shake their hand when you are better than me. Teach me.
Okay, it comes down to, like, how many times have you been told that you're bad at something, and that's given you the drive to try and, like, become better at it?
Use it as motivation.
Exactly. I don't know how, like, there are certain people that just need to eat a certain amount of shit before they use that.
Hey, it took me 2 years.
Yeah, I know. You
just reflect on it though, because some people are bad will say you're bad when they're just trying to make up for them being bad.
Right. So, more than anything, it just comes down to like a level of respect that we understand that everyone listening, everyone's adults, everyone's coming to us for information, everyone's trying to get better, and we, just respect you enough to give you like the honest and the brutal truths that, it'd be a lot easier for us to say all those sugar-coated, nice, sweet things. Like, it'd make our life a little bit better. We'd get a lot less angry emails. But it's just we believe that you guys have the ability to like hear that criticism and the potential to get better.
Is the Trinity Force defends themselves hour up now?
Right. Okay, we're done.
Well, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So if you just sit there doing the same thing and thinking that you're right all the time and you keep losing, why am I stuck in bronze? You're doing something wrong. So change it. Maybe listen to our podcast and take some advice.
The most common denominator in your games is you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think we're going to move on from this topic. We will probably touch on it again in probably 6 or 7 episodes.
The next time
right back out of this.
Tries to,
Tim, this is again has nothing against you. Thank you for writing.
We love you,
in.
Tim.
We really hope you learned something.
I'm honestly glad it was brought up again. So I'm glad we could cover it.
Right. No, you are up next. NOE. So no right said. Not long ago, you guys had a show in which you mentioned that the jungle is much less forgiving this season. I've been enjoying playing Nunu lately and have been focusing mostly on counter jungling and taking dragons and barons. So more or less, you've been playing Nunu correctly.
Right, that's how you play Nunu. Good job.
Good job.
Well You're doing it.
Right. I feel that despite the enemy buffs and camps, despite usually taking the first 2 or 3 dragons, and despite buying a sightstone and deep boarding, their jungle doesn't really fall behind at all. They usually still get some assists or even a kill or 2, and they end up ahead of me. What am I doing wrong? I swear I've had games where someone even said Nunu is so useless, all he does is build tanky.
Is it weird for me to be the first one to say something?
No, go, because I was going to jump right in.
Okay, so I think that part of it is judging by, I'm not sure what elo you're in, but you have to take into account what elo you're in. So when you're counter jungling as Nunu, I feel, if you're below gold, I would assume, or I would say, then you really have to also be looking for counter-ganking opportunities because your team does not have the awareness to stay safe while you're counter-jungling. So it's really easy for that other jungler to catch back up really quickly by just ganking your lanes because they're not going to be paying attention. And if you're taking all of their jungle, which is where most junglers go first for their experience, and there's nothing for them to do, they're going to go gank a lane. Yep. So it's putting more pressure on your lanes, and in lower elos, they're not going to know how to play safely and deal with that and have the awareness. So you have to, deep warding is great, but you should know where he's going and be there to counter gank in that additionally. And if you feel like you're still not being as effective as you want to be, Nunu's a buff and a debuff jungler. He supports his team. He's very utility oriented. So if you feel like you're not being as effective as you want to be or you can't carry as hard, you can do what Cheer does. Cheer plays a lot of like Udyr and things like that, where you can still do the counter jungling that it seems like you like, that play style, and then you can still have a little bit more impact late game if you have to switch to like a carry type role.
I don't think anyone in this podcast could have said that any better than how you just explained how Nunu is played. Because to properly play Nunu, and some of the junglers like Nunu, it's all about counter ganking. It's being there at the same exact time that the jungler comes, because yes, you took all of his camps, but you said it yourself, is that he's getting ganks off. So what is you're taking his camps, what does that do to him? It doesn't set him behind because he's ganking.
And if he's making enough of an impact in the lanes, it's like all right, say you did take his jungle, even if the enemy jungler is still behind and he's able to get lanes ahead.
Yeah.
He's getting lanes ahead. They're probably taking turret objectives.
You've taken everything. It's null. Whatever you've done is completely null.
It's a wash.
It's a wash. Yeah.
It's actually probably more in their favor because their laners are getting ahead too. So it's not just his experience; it's the whole team that's benefiting from that.
Well, and Nunu is great in those turnaround counter ganks.
Oh,
has a slow that slows attack speed. Has
an attack speed increase too.
Yeah, I mean he's beautiful for counter ganks in the bot lane. Oh, you're gonna run up and slow the enemy so your AD carry can continue to hit them even faster because you can blood boil them.
Right.
That sounds great.
Especially when you get as efficient at jungle where you can predict where they're gonna be. If you can sit in a bush and wait for them, and then you start ulting and they jump in there, Nunu's very, very good, but you have to look at him multidimensionally. You cannot just take their buffs.
Right. That's probably something that most people fall into in the trap. This question, a similar question came up in the TForce subreddit. Again, our TForce network. If you want to go check it out, you can post questions there. Someone said, I play jungle. I do all of this right. What am I doing wrong? And they listed off what they're doing right. And then my first reply was, well, it sounds like you're doing, you're getting kills, but what are you doing with that pressure? Sir, you have a 5-0 Nunu, but are you using that to your full advantage? Are you pulling pressure away from the other lanes because you're camping top lane and taking towers? Are you exerting your pressure on mid lane? Are you using everything that's given to you to force the enemy team to deal with you? And that's what it comes down. Nunu isn't great about that because Nunu can't solo anybody. He's not going to kill anybody like a Jarvan. And that's where if you're playing Nunu that well, I would say, I think Dace just said it, transition to Udyr, transition to Olaf, find somebody that can do the best of both worlds. They can duel and they can
do something similar, but they're also a threat 1v1.
Right.
That can
Vi's
kill somebody. Vi's beautiful right now.
Yeah.
She's amazing. I also want to hit on the point that he brought up about deep warding the enemy jungle. Having vision in the enemy jungle is great, but it's only beneficial if you can see them in the jungle, that's awesome. But if you can't see them, so let's say you ward up their entire top side of the jungle and you know that they haven't been running in there at all. They haven't been clearing any camps. You've been clearing it or whatever. You know that they're on the bottom side of the map. Mm-hmm. You should be there because that's where they're at. If you have the advantage to know where they're at and they're stuck in a specific quadrant, that should just make it all the easier for you to kind of be in that same area and react to it. So that vision, if you're only taking it at face value and using it as, oh, I see them here now, so I got a benefit out of it, that, the invisible pressure that you're applying just by knowing where they're not is also really important.
Sure. Would you say Nunu is a champion like Elise that could gank early at level 2 or level 3 still?
Yeah, but that's just because he doesn't really take damage in the jungle because consumes ridiculous.
Oh, and your snowball's good for.
But yeah, snowball's great for the
gank.
level 2, right?
Everyone would focus a lot on Nunu's early game strength, since only as the game goes on, he's only going to get weaker and weaker.
Right.
So, in addition to everything that everyone has said, you want to really put pressure on early. If you see the enemy jungle, I think it's safe to say that you can actually put a lot of pressure on him in his jungle early on.
Right.
In addition to watching where he's going and counter ganking.
So if you were playing Nunu, let's kind of just sidetrack this conversation a little bit. Are you building Rangers into Magus on Nunu for the extra gold because you'll be doing
love
more
that
farming?
Magus.
What 20% CD? He gets a giant boost
Better
off
Juggernaut.
AP with a
Yeah,
are you doing Juggernaut for 500 AP and 10% CDR or HP and 10% CDR?
And tenacity.
It depends
Right.
on how,
Train up
like, what
Mobies.
role you have to fill for the game. Like, if you already have a tanky top laner,
Right.
I'd say go for
You
the
need
Magus
that.
because, whatever. I mean, you could go Magus and then go straight into something like a Leandries or
But
something.
does it
and-
need to be tanky? Doesn't it use someone like Elise or Kennen or Rumble
Right.
or whatever, somebody that can kind of initiate or counter initiate?
Well, and let's be honest, Nunu isn't really initiating anyway. Like
He's
what-
not. Well, Nunu's counter initiate. He's not.
Yeah,
initiate.
exactly. Or like pick initiate, where they're wandering into something and you decide to blow them up by the time they walk into the bush. But it depends on what your team needs. If what they really need is somebody to continuously, slow peel off of an AD carry and just buff the hell out of them, build tanky and just sit around your carry. But you can also, like, if you build tanky like that, you can wander into the enemy jungle and take stuff all the time. Now, if you're going up against Jarvan or somebody who doesn't really need to farm the jungle, because if they can get a gank off in a lane, it's a pretty high chance it's going to be successful. So they're going to walk out of there with some golden XP, or they can just walk in. Like, you also have to be aware of when enemy junglers are taxing the hell out of lanes too. So, like, yeah, say you want to counter jungle somebody, if you happen to force the mid laner to back and their jungler just shows up and eats all that experience for a while, not as far behind as you think they are. They're getting lane XP and they're killing minions. Like, that's a significant
So
amount
are we
of
really
gold.
saying at this point that Nunu not a great jungler?
I don't like him. I'm not a huge fan of Nunu. Like, he's had his place in just the overwhelming, like, I'm gonna just run in anybody's jungle and do whatever. But as the game goes on, his power kind of falls off. He's great for taking early dragon objectives and whatnot because you have the double smites, but
That and counter jungling alone. Counter jungling alone is great, and it's annoying as hell. You'd be a great asshole to the enemy jungler, and it sucks when you're the jungler who's being counter jungled. But
Right.
it's does, like Daze was saying before, it relies a lot on your other lanes to actually
well.
take advantage of that.
Yep.
The fact that the jungler's not going to be there because they're behind trying to catch up somewhere else, or maybe they're trying to gank a lane to get that experience. You have to be there to use your presence, which should be more powerful than theirs, to counter it. So you do have to. I think all the points brought up pretty much resonate here perfectly with it. Counter jungling, it's risky when Nunu is a counter jungling champion, so you gotta really perfect the counter jungling if you really like Nunu, and maybe that's what you love to do. So do that, keep doing what you're doing, because it sounds like you're doing a good job on that at least, and then take the a little bit further, like Cheer was saying with the sight stones. Use that knowledge, the invisible power, to attack another lane or whatever the case may be, and hopefully or alert your lanes to it in case they're not paying attention, because you are in solo queue, you don't know. So hopefully you stick with this champion if you really like him. But if you're just trying to make Nunu work, there are better junglers out there.
yeah, most
Yeah, it's
definitely.
like keep Nunu in your rotation, but use him when your lanes are strong. As
Yeah, they have
to your
to be.
points, guys. Like,
Yeah.
you have to have strong lanes because your lanes have to win if you're counter jungling.
Or
If
your
your
lanes
lanes are
have
winning,
to,
and the enemy jungler's behind, you're in
Yeah.
great shape.
Your
But
lanes
if you
have
have
to be
weak lanes,
winning.
then you're
Yeah,
No,
your
like,
counter
Yeah,
junglers
they're-
look great.
if you have strong laners and that Nunu just shows up to throw the snowball, that makes it all the easier for them to end up like cinching that kill up and really getting ahead. So
My
like,
problem with Nunu is pretty much everything Nunu does, all of your lanes already do, and that's slow or disable or whatever it may be.
Well, the other
just
issue
about
is-
every lane has a slower disable or move speed increase at this point in time. So, I mean, yeah, he does great. Absolutely, he does great when he counter ganks. That's what he's good at. But I would just rather you play Olaf.
well,
you know.
the other thing with Nunu is every time he's ridiculously strong, the pros whip him out again, and then Riot like nerfs him down
Yeah.
significantly as well. Just because like he can be such an overbearing jungler when he's at the peak of his power. Like you can't really stop him from going in and eating your camps.
Oh yeah, right. He's gonna take dragon. Like,
I mean, he
he's
can
going
walk
to
in
take
there.
dragon. You can't take
Yeah.
dragon from a good Nunu. Is
Well,
the thing.
not only that, but he can walk into your jungle while you're doing it, eat it, and walk away. And if you're smacking him, he got his health back from
he just
doing
gained
it.
all his life
so
back.
who cares? He just W's and walks out. Like,
Which is why
yeah,
he's
that
great.
the
Counter
champion's
jungler.
a pain in the ass to play against, but a lot of that effectiveness just magically floats away as soon as it finally gets to team fights, because it's like, again, he's not bringing necessarily anything new that like your other laners aren't doing. He doesn't bring like an incredible more amount of mobility, and his ult can be canceled extremely easily. So there's the champion has his problems right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we'll move on to the next question since we
Good
have
luck,
about
though.
20-ish, 25 minutes left. Yeezus Bound, he wrote in, and he says, I am a mid-main heading into my second season of League of Legends. Oh, he's a baby. Aw. My theory for how to play mid lane is to be proficient in one champion that can fill a specific purpose for your team. Burst mage, utility mage, poke mage, range, AD, or AD assassin. Congratulations, you listed everything that happens in the mid lane. With the new season starting, can anyone suggest their top picks for each role? Please prioritize ease of learning over OPness because I don't want to be just another shitty Zed trying to climb the ranks.
Oh, I wish this question we got to like either before they had done the DFG stuff because it's going to throw everything like in a huge loop.
This question right now,
or after a couple weeks of DFG being gone, where we can see kind of where the state of mid lane is. Because as of right now, with DFG going out the window, the last like group of burst assassin mid laners is going to be Zed, and that's until
have you seen the Fizz changes in the PBE?
No.
His ultimate now adds a DFG debuff to the person when it hits, a 20% damage increase when you hit them with the ult. Like that's I don't know if that's a route they're
tentative.
going. It's tentative, right.
But
like,
here's the other thing with
we
that.
should wait for this one until
Yeah,
all
I
of
agree.
these changes.
Yeah,
come out,
you're
'cause
probably
mid lane's
right.
about to change pretty significantly.
I also have this. How many people
get the
build
lay of the
DFG on Fizz?
Probably a second item, or third
some
item.
Really? I
people
haven't-
do. I don't see it built on him very often. Like every once in a while, I'll see it, but like the people who build it on Fizz are much fewer and far between than people who are either rushing a Zhonya's or a Sheen.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
Fizz is heads and shoulders above Zed right now. Zed just too easily countered. Anyways, we should wait for another few weeks for this.
I read this question. I thought it was good, and then we started talking about what it was. Is I saw the Fizz changes come out after I put this in the document, and I went,
No, that's super
my
exciting.
God.
It's
but,
very
like,
exciting.
here's
Yeah.
who-
Again, with the DFG stuff, I mean, who does that kill? That kills what? LeBlanc. That kills Ari. Until they add other stuff.
It
to
kills
their kit to make up for
assassins.
it kills anybody who would use DFG.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Vagar. It just pretty much kills anybody that would wipe somebody off right off the map.
It
Okay, so
kills the
anybody out here
one-shot.
listening to this podcast that does not read PBE changes, and 5.2 DFG is going the way of the birds. It's going the way to Heart of Gold, File of Stone, Force of Nature. DFG is on. It's out of this game. Fuck you. Get the hell out of my fucking game. It's done.
I'm so depressed. I love that item.
You'll live forever in the Pentakill song.
Yes, you will. Yes, exactly.
Yes. Deathfire Grasp, by the way, that's what DFG is. And I do. All right, so we'll shelf this until we get a better feel for where mid is after all the changes. But Yeezus Bound, I do like where your head is at with having a different champion to fulfill a different role. Burst, utility, poke, range, AD, etc. So being proficient in those different roles helps you fill what your team needs. So good job. Keep that mentality going. And we'll address this later.
But don't be the outer
Stay
that fits
tuned.
squares into circles. Marino, I love that. I'm sorry. That is the best analogy I've ever heard for
Good guy,
filling a team
Foxdrop.
cup.
What a hero.
Box up.
Name drop, Foxdrop. Marino writes in, as a player who recently reached level 30 after years of random spurts of trying to learn League of Legends. Learning to play League of Legends, I'm sorry. Before I go on with this, there's something that I wanted to bring up earlier, because this reminded me that if you're trying to get better at this game and you're only playing one or two or three or four games a week, you're not going to get better at the game. So anybody who's out there who writes us in and says, I've played in Battle Arena, but I only played one other game that week, I can't feel sorry for you when you aren't getting better at this game. So, Marino, I don't know what the rest of your question is. I don't remember the top of my head, but that's to a point of earlier. You can't just play this game sporadically to get better at it.
That's nothing against people that can't play more than that. It's just, realistically, unless you're able to pump a certain amount of games out, it's hard to. You can't. How much are you going to learn from one game every 3 days?
And that's why high schools have practices for 3 hours every single day after school for their sports, because you gotta continuously play to
Anything
get
that needs
better.
practice.
And it's one thing if you don't have, I don't have a lot of time. It's just me. I have 2 kids and I have a full-time job. My time's very limited. So I made a decision to make League my priority. I used to play a ton of different games, and now I pretty much just play League. I play a couple other games here and there, but I made a decision that I wanted to get better at this game, and I wanted to put the time into it, and that's kind of a decision you have to make if you want to get better. Or you can just play it for fun, and that's fine, and you can play the couple games a week, but the only way you're going to improve is if you put some actual time into it.
I really like that you brought up that point where you had to, like, I mean, if you're working all the time, you might not have time for more than one game, and if you really want to succeed at a specific one, you might have to give up other
You have to give up
game
something.
options. There's only so much time.
I met my girlfriend 4 months ago, and the very first date I said, listen, Mondays and Wednesdays, you will never see me because I'm podcasting. Like, I'm putting all my spare time into that.
Nice.
And then after that, I'm playing games of League of Legends. And that's pretty much the only time I get to play is Mondays and Wednesdays and Sunday here and there because, schedules line up that way. But it's the same thing. You have to find the time, and you have to play the game. And to get better at anything, you have to put the time into it. So.
All of that being said, I still think it's great to take a break from League every once in a while. Like, take a week off,
oh my God.
play a different game for a while, and come back, and you'll be amazed at like the fresh new perspective you have. Or like you come back and you're like, wow, I'm rusty. I really need to work on this. It makes like the holes in your game that much more visible when.
Dude, Sean, I took 3 months off and played World of Warcraft for 3 months, and I came back and I have a whole new appreciation for League of Legends, and all I want to do is play League because I just needed a break.
Yeah,
He talks about, to go on a 180, he talks about going into a rut after not playing for a while, and there's no fancy answer for that. The obvious answer is the right one. You just need to play. If I don't play for 3 or 4 games...
I guess you need to read the rest of his question.
Like
we should finish reading the question.
Punch, why don't you read the rest of the question, because you obviously have a thought, but go off with the rest of what's going on here.
Okay. So I'll just start from the beginning. As a player who recently reached level 30 after years of random spurts of trying to learn to play League of Legends, I find myself procrastinating when it comes to playing random games and getting the experience I need to progress. I play main mostly in Team Builder right now. I think he means mid. I have a desire to play jungle as well. I have played Team Builder games here and there my way up to level 30 as support and jungle with mixed success. I decided to take a break recently for about a week or so. Now I'm having a hard time getting back to playing, especially jungle. I'll rewatch YouTube video guides or Bronze Bootcamp or watch Days stream. Hey Days. Instead of playing. How can I get out of this rut and get back into the game? I don't expect to be gold or plat. I just want to continue to progress as a player. Just play the game.
Yeah.
You took a week off. It only takes 3 or 4 days for me to not play before I feel like my skills aren't up to par. Where I just need to start grinding out games again. I'm like, oh crap, 4 days. Oh, I'll be fine. I'll be ready for ranked 5s on Tuesday. That's not true. My mechanics are off in that short amount of time. You just have to keep playing. And if you don't want to play a lot, but you want to keep your skills up, you can get away with 1 game a day.
I'll play arrows.
I mean, you don't expect to improve. Don't expect to improve with that little, but you'll be able to keep your mechanics at a near a level that you're used to, at least.
I'll play arrows just to have that mouse movement. All it is for me is to continue, because I continually click back and forth. If you're watching live, you'll see my hands moving, because that's how my mouse is always moving. So I'm clicking forward and clicking back behind me. So my character is moving, rapidly back and forth. I'll play arrows just to get used to it. I'm not getting better like Punch said. I'm not increasing my skill. I'm keeping it where it's at, and that's all I need. I came back and tried to play 80 carry after 5 days off, and that was probably the worst thing I could do.
I also want to say that this also might be one of those things where you may have some apprehension into getting into games because you don't feel your skill level is on par with the people you're playing with. You wouldn't be playing with them if your skill level wasn't at their level. That's how the game works. It places you, whether you like it or not, with people that are right around the same level that you're at.
Well, it does take probably 5 or 6 games to get to that point, though. Like, when you first come in, it's assuming you're at the level you were at 5 days ago.
Right. But even still, like, within 5 games, you're going to be back to the level of like player level that you should realistically be at. I mean, the more games you play, the closer you are to that level. But just don't even worry about how you necessarily perform when you get in the games, because that might be one of the reasons why you're procrastinating. Is like you're so worried about how you're going to perform. Just go and play and have fun. Like, I guarantee you'll get way better at the game if you're enjoying yourself while you're going like along the journey of trying to improve. It's just,
there you go. Sean just hit the nail on the head. You got to play the game, so don't get in the mentality of you have to absolutely win, and if you don't, oh my god, it sucks. Play and try to have fun. Just play and play and play, and you will automatically just get back into the swing of things.
Right.
And I just want to say, like, I know that you're not looking to get gold or plat or whatever. There's nothing wrong with watching guides and watching streams and participating in bronze boot camp. And anyone who is trying to reach those higher levels, those are very, very important parts of game knowledge and getting better. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. You just can't expect. It's like watching football on TV. Like, you can't just watch it all the time and then expect to be able to go out and do it. And if you
No, I mean, that's
right. Adam could be an NFL player tomorrow.
Right.
But,
Thank
you know,
you.
he just
Thank
chooses
you
not
so
to.
much.
His name is Latino, so he could be the quarterback for the Dolphins.
It's that,
No,
it's
sorry,
that whole
it
like
made me
cage
laugh.
potato mentality. Like all the guys that are gonna watch like mixed martial arts fight and they'll sit in the cage and then they'll yell at the pros or like any professional fighter or something like that. All like they know better than they do. It's like you
It
may have
happens in League. Watch freaking LCS and see
Right.
everyone in chat. Because apparently we have like 80,000
Masters
diamond
players.
or challenger players that are
Right.
sitting in Twitch chat criticizing everyone else. But
I can't believe
and the other
Persian
thing
did
with
that.
is that if you're not enjoying playing, then ranked, I used to have like really, really bad ranked anxiety and I hated playing it and I never did. Like, play with friends, go into the TForce channel, find people. It's great if you can get into like Skype or Mumble or, you know, any sort of like voice chat and actually play with a group of friends that you like, find a team. Those sort of things help you a lot. And when you, again, someone said if you start enjoying the game, you'll play a lot better. So I would focus on, you know, deciding what you're trying to get out of the game and, you know, find some people to play it with. Because when you're playing with people you enjoy, you're just naturally going to have a lot of fun and a lot of that pressure is going to fall off.
You don't even necessarily need to find like a large group of people to play with.
Right.
One of my favorite things to do is to just go into ranked games with someone who I know I'm going to have fun with. Regardless if we're winning or losing or whatever, we're just gonna laugh
that's
stuff
why we
off
don't-
and
that's
talk
why
shit
we
to.
don't
I
play
know because
ranked.
you and I are both way too competitive. I need somebody to like to fuck with me the whole time.
Join the TForce chat channel in game. Do you know how many
you go.
people have
a lot of
found my brother who? So you guys would think that since I do this podcast and I'm good at the game and this and that, I teach my brother to play. I told him, "You're fucking. Here's the wolves. Have fun." I haven't taught this kid a single bit about the game, and he joined the TForce chat channel. He's playing with Frown Power. He's playing with guys from that listen to the podcast, and he's getting
guy,
better
Frown
at
Power.
the game. Yeah. Because he's joined the community and he's doing the community. So if you're out there right now, like I feel like this entire podcast is us standing on a fucking soapbox and screaming at everybody down below us, like this is how you get better at the game. Just join the community and get better.
We're not on a soapbox. We're on the same level as everybody else. It's not like we've like sunk into. We haven't opened up a magical box on how to immediately like perform better. We've experienced a lot
Sure.
of this game. We've put
all
our
done.
time in. We've been there. We've
I was
done
bronze.
that. This isn't.
Go to my
None
YouTube.
of
There's
us, none
a
of us
bronze.
just
Yeah.
started this game and we're immediately plat. Like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Except for
I-
Punch.
I
I've
got
seen how Punch
placed
has
in
always
gold the
played.
first season I ever played, but I never got
Yeah,
out of it,
right.
so it's whatever.
Sure probably had his rap playing on his
Yeah.
keyboard and that's how he got gold.
like Chira said before, you know, we have fun with this game. We love it. That's why we enjoy talking about it, because this game is fun. We play it because it's fun. It's a great hobby, and we enjoy it. So if you enjoy it, just go ahead and play it, and you'll come out of that rut automatically. Don't worry about it.
Right, and if you're playing with people that are better than you and you're getting stomped, the most I've ever learned from were games that I played with people that just stomped me. And if you're playing with people, you know, at lower levels than you, honestly, some of the most fun I've ever had was playing in low-level games or joining community games or playing with people. I played normals with people from the TForce chat. Like, you can just get something out of every game. You just have to kind of look at it in a positive way and don't look at it as, like, a win or a loss or your KDA. You know, look at it as like what you learned from the game or how much fun you had from the game. You know, it's just a perspective thing at that point.
There's something to be said about pushing the limits with certain champions that you play too. With I've learned more about how to play top lane by playing champs and then just having my aggressions like turned around and shoved down my throat.
Right?
Yeah,
I've
How you learn.
I have learned more. I've learned
Thanks.
more from that and like little things like that, or like it's one of those times where as soon as you get crushed, just laugh and be like, wow, I should not have done that. I know not to do that next time.
This is why.
Yeah, this is exactly
Sean,
why.
let's talk about how many seasons it took me to stop complaining about ganks in the top lane and actually fucking start warding. Okay,
You stopped?
Yeah, no, I don't even ask for ganks anymore.
It also helped that now that you're warding and I know you're getting ganked, I can also be like, Adam, you're getting ganked, and you're like, oh, and you just back off.
Yeah.
Because I'm warding but not paying attention to my ward. Yeah. I mean, at least somebody's paying attention for me. Like, what do I need it for?
You got the first step. You do recognize that it's not everyone else around you who's just doing poorly because you haven't played for weeks. Right. So you know that there's something you need to work on. So just play the game, and if you, oh man, I could have done this better. Do like we've always said. Reflect on your games. Maybe like we were saying before, go do the boot camps and things like that where it's cast. You can go check out the YouTube video later, or the Twitch. What is it, a VOD? And you can say, hey, oh wow, I was doing that.
If you're looking for people to play with, the TForce chat in game is awesome. I mean, add me. I talk to friends. I mean, I've become really good friends with a bunch of fans because they just add me and talk to me all the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm always playing like Ultimate Bravery games or in-house like 5v5s.
I feel like there's been more in-house 5v5s recently than ever.
Well,
before.
Frown Power and Jeffy Pants and Spork and all those motherfuckers that hang out in Spork's TeamSpeak, like just if you hit those guys up, they'll invite you to a game and they'll play. Like they're just relax and go play fun games with people because nobody's gonna give you shit. Everybody's just trying to have a good time. So
to sidetrack this conversation real quick, somebody had posted in the chat that Days and myself didn't look like anything, or everybody actually. It's always like, oh, this person didn't look like I expected them to look by listening to their voice for 200 episodes. And I have to look at Punch because just to tell you guys a quick story to round out this podcast, 2 years ago I met Punch for the very first time in person. I had only ever heard his voice. Punch, I just want you to talk real quick. I just want you to say like, hello, my name is Punch.
Hello, everybody out there in podcast land.
So you hear this voice, right? It's very deep. It's very sultry. It's very amazing. There's a lot of bass to it. And we didn't even talk like on the phone. We were like texting. He's like, I'm coming there, and he shows up at Sean's house, and there's these two really super skinny dudes. There's Punch and Ello and Urtai who both walk up there, and I'm like, hey, where's Punch? I'm like moving the guy. I'm kidding, but like I want to move the guy aside. Like, is Punch in here? Because I expected this big dude with this big, deep, bassy voice. So it always cracks me up when I see people post in the Twitch chat that we don't look like nothing like they expect us to look like. Because when you look at Punch, you're this tiny little dude with this big, deep voice. I love it.
What's the problem?
Yeah, right. No, I'm just saying I love it.
I was in a WoW guild for a while, and you can imagine the amount of people that were surprised when they found out how much I weighed. Just by knowing my weight, they're like, "What? Huh? You're not like 250 pounds?" No.
Right. You know what? Here we are on the air. How much do you weigh?
145, 150.
What? You weigh less than I do.
I outweigh you by like 30 pounds.
I do too, and I don't look any bigger than you do.
I have 100 pounds on you.
I eat as much as I can.
Declawed is also a giant in real life, though. So
yeah, I can only imagine. I've never actually seen Declawed in real life, but I can only imagine this dude. It's just like
he's a big.
I've seen the picture. I've seen this
right now.
6'4", 250 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, baby.
Jeez, you're 6'4". I didn't even know Declawed was 6'4". I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he's tall.
I'm gonna be like, "What's up, Declawed?"
And I can bounce my titties.
Did you see the hashtag we put out tonight?
Oh my god, yeah. Let's see if we can get it trending.
Declawed titty bounce. Hashtag.
God, please, why?
But I'm sorry.
See, anybody can be good at League, whether you're 145 pounds or 250 pounds.
Yeah, biology.
Biology.
Question number one.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed us yelling at you for an hour, because that was episode number 228 of the Trinity Force podcast. We'll be back Monday with, I don't know what we're going to talk about. It's going to come up. If you guys didn't check out 227, Fox Drop. He's Fox Drop LOL on YouTube.
Very enlightening.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
Yeah,
check it out.
Go check it out.
We talked. All we did was talk about jungle. Let him talk about chickens and wards and Krugs and
otters.
And otters, if you heard me laughing about the otters and the triangles, he made a very good analogy with a GIF that's out there, or GIF as he calls them. So that's episode 228 of the Trinity Force podcast. Thank you guys so much for following us and being loyal fans. We will be back Monday with episode 229, and we will see you then. Peace.
See you guys.
Love you. Good night.
Bye.